Hey, Justice Warriors, what's happening? How was your weekend? I am having some allergy issues, so I'm not going to be able to stay on a long time, but I wanted to come on anyway and say hello to my folks. Please hit your thumbs up button if you'd be so kind. Share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed if you are subscribed, and if you're not subscribed, please consider it and turn on your bell to ring for notifications like that just did. Did you hear that one? Um, so Rogue House, what's happening? It's been a while. Thanks for stopping by. So yeah, like I said, I'm just feeling a little bit under the weather with allergies. I think it's been a really bad fall. And yeah, Pixie Knickers, what is going on? So, I wanted to come on and talk to you guys about the Morphew case, also Maui, and whatever else you guys want to talk about. Like I said, I'm not gonna be able to stay on too long, but I've been paying a lot of attention to the Morphew case from the beginning, and then of course since she was found, I think on the 22nd. I think it was a Friday, the 22nd of September, when her remains were located, but then it wasn't until, like, the 27th that they announced it. I think it was, Wednesday, the 27th. I'd have to pull out my calendar. Um, so yeah, it's not too bad. Pixie Knickers, if it was, I wouldn't be able to function, but, I haven't taken an allergy med yet, which is actually good because once I take that, then I have to drink a lot of water and I get cotton mouth and it's much harder to talk. Hey, Mark, what's happening? Thanks so much for being here, you guys. Just the four of us, and we're off to a great start, huh? And anybody else who's here and quiet, that's cool. We love those who, lurk. Um, so let's see where to begin. Maybe start with Maui. Maybe start with Maui. So, as you guys know, some of my favorite channels to watch to keep up with the Maui situation are Blossom Inner Wellness, Hawaii Real Estate, of course, and Brush Junkie. I also like Hustle Bitch and Squirrel Tribe. Those two haven't been covering Maui so much, but the others, when they put videos out, which is probably like once, maybe twice a week, they are usually covering Maui. And one of the most significant has just come out in the last day. That is from Blossom Inner Wellness, and she is interviewing State Representative L. Cochran, who was born and raised in Lahaina, I think. I know for sure on the island of Maui. And this state representative does not believe the numbers at all that the governor is putting out there. They're still stuck on that number 97, you guys. And I've done some research on the fire that I've been referring to since Jump, which is the one in Rhode Island. I believe that that bar was called the Station. And that terrible pyrotechnic fire that happened in the early 2000s, I think it was 2003-ish, has 100 as their total of deceased fatalities, deceased individuals, over 200 injured, and exactly 100. And so they would know their exact numbers because nobody was completely incinerated. Like um, all of those who perished were still there on the premises. So they had exactly 100 fatalities. Well, actually, let me take that back because probably there were, I would bet, handfuls that didn't perish there, but then passed away at the hospital, that they never recovered, that they were in the ICU, that sort of thing. But anyway, every single person's physical, uh, I hate to use the word carcass, my goodness, just their remains, just their body, every single person's body was accounted for. So they had exactly 100 fatal folks who lost their lives, and then hundreds who were badly, badly burned. And then I would bet from there you could say thousands, that it would be safe to say thousands whose lives were forever um, harmed. So, so yeah, I watched some of the specials about it and learned a lot. There was a lot that I didn't know, like that the two guys who owned the bar were brothers, and one of them is doing prison time or has done prison time. They both, I believe, pled no contest. Um, there was a lot of sad, sad information, like the noise canceling foam that they ordered was the wrong kind, and it was just regular foam, and they actually ordered fire retardant foam, but they didn't check, and then the fire marshal didn't check, and so there was a lot of people who hold that burden of um, stupidity, I guess, just missing things. And I hate to say that because we are all human, we all make mistakes, but I can't imagine making a mistake that rises to that level. And as I often say in positions of public safety, there's not a margin for error. The margin for error is slim to nil. And you just can't make those mistakes. And if you do, this is the result. So, of course, the exits were another huge problem. And so there was so much about the details that I didn't know. It was fascinating to get caught up. Anyway, let me stay caught up with you because I'm already falling behind. Um, I saw Hawaii Realty's live today and they have it blocked from this morning, like right after I got the notification for it. I click on it and it was gone. Wow, harsh one. Thank you for sharing that. That's fascinating. Um, and did they block it? Did YouTube block it? That is wild. Um, right. Let's see. The hospital or urgent care numbers is weird. No good info being shown with transparency. Now, are you talking about for Hawaii? Because yeah, that's been one of my biggest gripes all along is that there's very rarely anything spoken about people who were injured but survived, or people who were injured and then didn't survive. But talking about the number from the station, the bar there in Rhode Island, that number of 100, I was suspicious that these people at positions of power for the Maui fires, the governor, the mayor, and the police chief, that they were trying to bring their number, which they had taken it up to 115 at one point, and it stayed at 115 for weeks and weeks and weeks. Then they came out with that 44-minute presentation with like the goon squad. I mean, not to be rude, but they were rude in my opinion. And let me just say here that everything I say is simply my opinion, simply for the sake of conversation, always hoping to open up a discussion and to learn something. I hope that my videos are educational for others and they're all made for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform. So, when they brought out their doctor, their who was he, defense dude, and the small young woman and the police chief, and they came out to say that they were settling their numbers. So they brought it down from 115. I think that was when they came to the 97 and they were talking about consolidating their body bags and all this crazy crap for 44 minutes, and how 16 of these oh, what was their stupid word? Not intact humans, not total humans, not actual humans. You guys remember, but they said that they had 16 that were fake humans, that were not humans, right? Um, yeah, that is so wild. Like it was only a few minutes after I saw it and tried to watch it, and it was not there just the YouTube video, and then I click it and got it's not here anymore. So, sometimes I've done that when I have put something up, like if I do a pre-recorded and then I put it up and then I'm editing it, it will do that. Like I'll see that one or two, three, four, five people have watched it, but I've been trying to let nobody watch it until I have it edited. If, there's something I just feel like it's imperative that I take out before I post it. So, maybe it'll get posted, but maybe they decided not to do it, or maybe YouTube took it down, or maybe the government told YouTube. I mean, who knows? Stuff over there is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Anybody remember what that word? Thank you, Pixie Knickers. Distinct. You got it. The distinct humans. So when they came with that figure 97, and then they said that they had 13 that were still being investigated and that they had 85 of them being identified, I thought that was odd because 13 is a digit off from 85 and 97. That would be 12, which since they've changed it to 12. So I think their numbers are just like, how we say word salad? Like they have like a number salad. There we go. Number salad. I'm coining a new phrase for freaking Maui public officials. Them and their number freaking salad, because those numbers I think are completely fabricated out of thin air, and they're trying to keep it under 100 so that they don't go down in history as the worst catastrophic fire fatality incident of modern history of the last 100 years. But they are what they are. I mean, that situation at the or not the fire station, but it's called the station on Rhode Island, that was an absolute monumental disaster that will never be forgotten. People are walking with the physical and the emotional scars and will be for their entire lives. Um, People that were there and people who knew people that were there. But this situation in Maui, all of the lies, all of the whitewashing, all of the covering up in the world doesn't change the truth. The lies change, the cover ups change, the truth doesn't change. And there's nothing that you can do to change it. So, yeah. Thank you so much for that distinct word, Pixie Knickers. I always forget it because it's the weirdest little phrase that they coined for that meeting. I've never heard anybody say that. Distinct humans. Like, what? So gross. We have a 9-year-old girl missing from New York, so please look up Charlotte Senna. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Harsh One. I definitely wanted to get to that, but we'll go ahead and discuss that now. That's crazy, isn't it? So sad. 9 years old on a camping trip with her family, riding her bike around the campground at around 6:15. What was it, on the 29th of September? And today is October 2nd. So that would have been maybe Friday. And, they realized quickly within 15 minutes that she wasn't returning, and they went and looked for her. They did find her bike, I think by the lake. I know they found her bike, but no signs of her that I've seen. And it's just devastating. Absolutely devastating. Praying for her safe return. Oh, my goodness. And after 72 hours, it is really, really scary. Sorry, it's been a while, Jazz. I lost my brother a few months ago and I'm absolutely heartbroken over it. I'm so sorry. That sucks. That totally sucks. Um, I don't know how they expect us to believe in this government, especially when they're doing this to Maui and other places. Right. So the big, big news in the Maui case, have you guys heard this? That there's 13 hours missing from the satellite images of the Lahaina fires. It's not in the satellite image data bank. That's crazy. So my sources for that, I'll put the in the description, the link for um Blossom in Our Wellness, but it was Brush Junkie that I think was the first one to discover that. Maybe they both discovered it simultaneously, but those are my sources, Brush Junkie and Blossom in Our Wellness. I bet you that that's what Eric was going to talk about, Eric West, on Hawaii real estate, because I don't think, no, he did. He did do like a 2-minute video over the weekend about it. So he just had the clip about like the experts saying what they had to say. So all three of those channels, you guys. And that is some effery. I mean, you can't just go hiding satellite imagery without it being noticed. So, shall we start to shift our gears over to the Suzanne Morphew case, you guys? I shared it on my community post. It was Saturday evening, and my hubby watched it last night. Um, mm, like me, I think she was being watched and the opportunity came and someone took her. I have a bad feeling. Yeah, I have a really bad feeling, and I don't think it was the family. I mean, it often is in situations like this. It often is the family, and then they make a setup where, I mean, like the Suzanne Morphew case, this little girl Charlotte was in the middle of a big bike race. I mean, being on your bike or going out on a jog or a walk, hike in the woods, these are typical scenarios that people can come into harm's way, but often family members that are responsible will conjure up these elaborate tales to open the window of opportunity for, every John Doe and their uncle and brother to be the potential assailant. Um, so they can't see the ships, subs, airplanes, or helicopters or machines doing the damage and oh, Mark, yikes, the direct energy weaponry. Wow, you're scaring me. Oh, thanks again, Pixie Knickers. I saw you said you're welcome. So shifting gears because we're already almost at 20 minutes. And like I said, I don't have too long to be on live with you guys, but I didn't want to skip a day, especially because I didn't get to do any videos over the weekend. I did a few community posts. And so I just didn't want to go another day. I can't stand not having my time with my crew here. So my squad, I feel like I'm part of the squirrel squad, but what are we, like the Justice Squirrel Squad or something like that? The Chipmunk Squad. Oh my goodness. That story that Barry Morphew tries to give with his cell phone pinging outside of their home on Saturday, May 9th, the day before Mother's Day, where that's when they think that he was chasing Suzanne around and maybe hitting her with a tranquilizer gun, a tranquilizer dart. Um, and he says he was chasing chipmunks around, right? Like completely nuts. The Justice League, Mark, I am taking it. You get the credit. I'm running with it. The Justice League. I love it. Thank you, dude. You're so sharp. Also, it's just another thing that we have to worry about. We also have to pay attention to things going on every place, Maui, and then the other places. God help us. Definitely, God is helping us, I believe. There's a lot of evil in the world, and there's a lot of good. And I think that, everything happens for a reason, and we have to keep our faith and we have to stay positive. And the fact that Suzanne Morphew was found, that her remains were found, as sad as it is that she passed away, the fact that the evidence, that her body of evidence is available is phenomenal. And yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens next. Pixie Knickers, we will split up the credit for Mark and Pixie Knickers. You don't mind, do you, Mark? You were first, but I don't think Pixie Knickers would be saying that if she didn't mean it. And Harsh One, Shelley says, Xena Justice Warriors. I like it. I like it. Yes, Justice League. It's crazy she was found by accident. So, and Mark says, "Nope, don't mind." Okay. So I know. And they say she was found by accident, and law enforcement is not required to tell the public the truth. Perhaps they were looking for her there. I don't know. I know the story is that they were looking for this other middle-aged woman who disappeared earlier this year, and that they happened to find her, and that her remains were scattered in what they call the boneyard, this field, this desolate area. So if you haven't seen the posts that I put up over the weekend, I put one still shot that I'd never seen before of Barry Morphew walking into the doors of the Holiday Inn Express that he stayed at in Broomsfield on Mother's Day, and he's walking in carrying 3 shovels, you guys. Talk about being caught red-handed. I mean, I can't think of anybody as a landscaper or in any field, anyone who's going to take shovels into their nice hotel room. I mean, you have somewhere to lock them up in your truck. And if you didn't, I would think that you could talk to the staff at the hotel and they'd let you put them in their shed or something. They don't want you to bring your nasty shovels into their freaking hotel room. And if you bang up the place or drop a bunch of cement and dirt, you're going to get charged for that. But I don't think he banged up the place or dropped a bunch of cement or dirt. It sounds like the evidence could lead you to believe that he was bleaching the shovels because he didn't sleep in that room. He used that room for a few hours and then he gave it to one of his employees. And they reported that when they went into that room, it reeked heavily of chlorine bleach, like almost knocking you over, and that there were a lot of wet towels, and that it was very odd, and that he was very odd too. He didn't really say what was going on. I think he said like family crisis or something. Um, but I made a list of some of the things that make Barry Morphew look the most guilty. Um, and I want to keep up with you guys too. Oh no, I'm not saying that for credit. I just wanted to say I had the same thought. Great minds think alike. It's nice to get credit though. I mean, that's why I always like to try to give credit to the right people, and it drives me nuts if I forget to give credit or if I forget where I got something and I'm like trying to come up with it. It's so nice when it will come to me like it so often does. I try not to say anything, or at least I will say I can't remember who to give credit to for this, but when I do remember, I'll put it in the comments or the description or something like that. It's just crazy stuff. I also feel paranoid because I don't trust these people anymore, and I've prayed about it. We are a team, community, all good, great mind when I have you guys help. Yeah, totally. Like the synergy. We synergistically work together. Yes, those shovels. WTH. Shovels, no one takes shovels from their truck, duh. Right, I mean, like, giving someone the benefit of the doubt if you couldn't lock them up somewhere on the outside of your truck or in a trailer or something like that, you'd put them in the cab. I mean, you're not gonna take them into your hotel room, that's just completely absurd, and thank goodness, for him doing that, we can thank him. For him doing all the stupid things he did, we can thank him. He kept stopping at all these different locations, dumping his garbage illegally, and then saying that, oh, he just did that because he's cheap, so he's dumping it in public uh, garbage, r- you know, garbage cans or dumpsters. Dumpster fire. That's what that man is. He's a freaking dumpster fire. Anyway, so we all know that it's illegal to dump your garbage anywhere. There's no like public place where you can put a whole bunch of garbage. I mean, if you see a big garbage can in the middle of a city, like the way they have those public garbage cans, yeah, you can put a big grocery bag full of garbage in there, but you can't just be like shoving all kinds of stuff in there. you'll get charged. And on dumpsters, they always have the signs that say no illegal dumping, and, if you do, you will be prosecuted. I know people in college who tried to put garbage in like apartment dumpsters because they didn't have garbage pickup where they lived, and they got busted. I mean, he's a grown man. He was like 49 years old, and he's, as a professional, trying to say that he does that all the time. I don't believe it, because he would get stopped. He would absolutely get stopped. So some of the other photos that I put up on another community post are of a map of Salida, Poncho Springs, um, Moffat, I think is how you say it. Um, so, you know, Suzanne Morphew and Barry Morphew, they did not live in Salida. They lived in a teeny tiny little town that I can't think of the name of right now. If you guys want to put it in chat, but Mayberry, is that it? No, it's something like that. Mayberry, something really close to Mayberry, which is funny because I hadn't thought about that. That it's like Mayberry. Anyway, that town is under 200 people. Mayfield. So they're from Mayfield. Their house is pretty far away from Salida. I'm trying to think direction wise, east west, um, because I was just looking at the map, and I think the direction is west, that it goes Mayfield and then Poncho Springs and then Salida, right? So why everyone always says they're from Salida is kind of odd. I believe that the church that they were very well connected with, I believe that that church is in Salida. And I think that the restaurant that Suzanne or somebody ordered, saying that they were Suzanne, that restaurant was in Salida, and it's Moon something. I looked it up over the weekend, but I don't think I have it written down in front of me. Anyway, if you Google Moon Restaurant in Salida, it'll come right up. There's only one. It's a small town. Salida is the town of like 6,000. So Poncho Springs is closer to the itty bitty teeny town that they are from, or that they were from. But then Moffat, I think it's Moffat is how you say it. I'm not sure, is about 45 minutes south of Poncho Springs. And just south of Moffat is a UFO tower, like for watching UFOs, right? Right? Yeah, I do that all the time. And then just east of the UFO tower and just east of Moffat is the sand dunes that Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger famously went on their little camp trip. And Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie went to that same sand dune, you guys. And it kind of just puts my head right in a vice grip. Like, why are all three of these high profile cases that are in a relatively close time proximity, why are they all in that same general vicinity? Is there like some porthole to hell right there, or what? Bad luck? Coincidence? I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Um, I mean, hearing people talk about that area of what they call the boneyard is that it is really creepy and it's really desolate. So, how uncommon is it to have a UFO watchtower? I mean, I've never heard of that. And I don't know. It kind of seemed like Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito may have gone there because of Chris Watts and NK, because we know that they liked to read about unalivers. They loved their little serial killing books that they would talk about in their videos. And it's kind of seemed like they were on a serial killing type of tour almost, right? I mean, I hate to say that, but that's kind of the impression that I got, is that that was something right in the forefront of their minds as they were traveling. Um, So maybe, or maybe they just wanted to try the skiing or surfing down the sand, whatever you call that activity. Um, and then it just happens to intersect with where Mr. Morphew may have allegedly um, put Suzanne's remains. So I know that we need to keep an open mind, just like we do in the Idaho 4 case, innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So they had canceled his prosecution 9 days before the trial because they thought that they might be able to locate her remains and that they'd have a stronger case if they did. So that was the reason that they gave publicly. Um, let's see. And I need to just rearrange a little bit and get some water. And I do need to think about wrapping up already, even though it's only half an hour in. Sorry, kick over my table here. Um, let's see. If it's a nice truck, I can see not putting dirty shovels in the cab, but I'm thinking it's a work truck. So I don't know unless he was afraid of something that his shovel is a weapon. Ooh, harsh one. I literally had not even thought about it as a weapon. But that makes a lot of sense because I was thinking, like, why would he be so concerned unless he's just worried about the dirt, because you can locate dirt by the minerals in it to exactly where that dirt came from. And, he did watch a lot of forensic files allegedly. So, yeah, state parks, Rogue House, thank you. There's that whole thing with the state park. So, the home by the Monarch Pass that the Morphews lived in was also near a state park or a national park. Um, and then that sand dunes is a state park or a national park. Good point. Absolutely. And I wanted to bring up too in the story of Suzanne Morphew that where her bicycle was located. I don't know if you guys have looked at the maps and seen the roads and their house, but I'll do another one. I'll put a community post up later today of this. She if she had taken her bike on a bike ride, she would not have even made it to the main road. So it's almost like she didn't even make it out of their driveway, if that were the case. But why that's relevant is because that bike was a Santa Cruz. They're extremely expensive. They're not all $10,000, but there are some models that are 10 and $14,000. I don't know about hers, but I do know that it was very expensive and that it was brand new. So I think that it was one that was close to $10,000. And if Mr. Morphew put the bike there as a prop and you know, to make up the story, it would make sense that he would put it not in public where somebody could see it and take it. And allegedly, if you were standing in one of the bedrooms in their house, you could look out the window and see right where the bike was. So it would be my guess, the type of person that he seems to be, that he would have had a camera right on that bike just in case somebody tried to walk off with the $10,000 Santa Cruz. Just a thought. But the cameras is another thing that there were surveillance cameras all around the house, and they just happened to not be working over that weekend of the Mother's Day weekend. So the timeline is very likely that something happened the day before Mother's Day, and then that whole Mother's Day thing was just a fiasco and a story to throw the timeline off, but also to think about that poor neighbor who was the one who called 911. And these are the negative impacts that perpetrators have on everybody around them. Is he, he didn't want to be the one to call 911 because he knows that that phone call's going to be recorded. Why he didn't just have his daughters call? I guess maybe because they were out of state, but somebody, either he or the daughters, put the neighbor up to calling 911. So, and I had mentioned last week that that poor woman had a lot of negative, um, adverse health. The whole thing, the whole stress of the situation affected her health very negatively. You know, she was at least 70 years old and, you know, right there in the middle of it. And then she's under scrutiny too, because whoever places the 911 call is going to be a person of interest, if for no other reason, just as a witness. And it's just so unbelievable how many folks a perpetrator will come into contact with and hurt and have a massive negative impact on, even not that they're victimizing them, but in a sense they are victimizing them. They're victimizing everybody, everybody. And then, like, you know, Macy's boyfriend and his family, and I mentioned that they were the family that matched Barry's $100,000 reward, and that $100,000 was the exact amount that Suzanne and her family had been in a conflict over, because I think her father helped them out with a $100,000 loan and he wanted to get the money back, and Barry was really put out and insulted, and so that number was a major jab to say, "Oh, well, now she's missing, and I'm gonna offer a measly $100,000 to find her." And, you know, that was extremely intentional. Um, and yeah, they were very well off, especially Suzanne's family, but there was a lot of, financial strife. And then thinking about when her father, I can't remember if I said this in one of my videos last week, when her father got his diagnosis in February, I think I did. Um, they would have already been thinking about the inheritance that was going to be coming their way. And then when she was wanting to get a divorce, that would have, at the very minimum, cut Barry's portion of the inheritance in half. And potentially, depending on the timing of it all, he wouldn't have gotten any of it. But with her being gone, then he gets all of it. He doesn't even have to think about splitting it in half. It's all his for the taking and his for the keeping. Um, one sec. Thank you, Mark. Such a great point. Yeah, I mentioned that last week, but I didn't really hit on it too hard. No prints on bike. Whipped out, true and loose, his prop if taking. Oh my God, cam's not working. Chipmunks. Yeah, yeah. So no prints on the bike at all. And the bike, they had done something to it where they had turned the front wheel all the way around, and you can see the police officer who who retrieves the bicycle from the spot where it's like kind of dangling on a cliff kind of thing on this little hillside, and it's just so precarious, it's so bizarre. And he takes it down very carefully, and then he turns the wheel all the way around like 180 degrees, so the handlebars and the front wheel. But there was something going on with the front wheel being locked up, which is why Suzanne had taken the bike to her guy who did the work fixing her bikes, keeping them tuned up and stuff. So she had just taken her bike in, I want to say on Thursday. Um, so, like, a couple of days before she might have gone missing. And even his fingerprints weren't on the bike. Her fingerprints weren't on the bike. Nobody's fingerprints were on the bike, except then the police officer who um, who took the bike down from its precarious spot there on the hillside. And, you know, I'm very compassionate towards that officer because he just seems like such a great guy. If you watch all the footage, all the body cam footage of the officers on that case, I think they're top notch, absolutely outstanding. And I know there were a lot of people criticizing him for not having gloves on when he got her bicycle, but he also knows that he's the only one who touched the bicycle. So he was very mindful of having no one else touch the bike. You can hear him at other points on body cam saying, don't touch it. So I just think, you got to give some leeway to these people that are doing their best, and things are dawning on them as it's occurring. So it wasn't until after he retrieved the bike, probably, that he realized that it was likely put there intentionally like that. So it wasn't until Barry arrived that they got so suspicious of him. And if you guys haven't seen that body cam footage, you need to, because I mean, it's sad, it's disgusting, and it's laughable how when Barry arrives at 9:30-ish at night, straight from Broomfield, he gets out of his car and he's like, "Is that where her bike was?" And it's just like, it's so peculiar, and he doesn't realize how peculiar he's being. And then it gets even better when he asks, "Could it have been a lion?" or something like that. He says lion. It's one of the first words that comes out of his mouth when he sees the officers, and they're just like, "What? Are you lying, huh?" I mean, it's funny. It's funny. And it seems like he quickly realizes, "Oh, I shouldn't have used a word that's so similar to lying as I'm lying." But, very, very quickly, they realize something's going on. And then, as you've seen, if you've watched that body cam footage, that's all in the 48 hours, and they just re-dropped their Suzanne Morphew episode a few days ago, the one that they did, uh, a, a year or two ago. Um, And so when they follow him into the house, or when they have him go into the house, that's when he kind of starts to realize that they're handling him with kid gloves. Um, I was said it last week. I don't think he had any idea that he wasn't going to be allowed in his own house. Oh my goodness, look at that. Okay, I gotta cut it and now delete this episode. No, I'm just kidding. See how the light changes? Isn't that awful? Let me see what I can do. That's so funny. My blackout curtain. That's what I thought was happening last week, and that didn't happen. Um, Screenshot. Oh, I love it. I love it. Like, I mean, if that's the worst thing that ever happens in any of my videos, I would be one lucky YouTuber, huh? Um, let's see. I didn't realize bikes like that were that expensive. Not many bikes are, but yeah, of course, she had a super awesome one. Um, just like this upcoming evil civil service. Oh my goodness, is that like a too funny, ominous. Just like this upcoming civil service test crap is odd and timing is off. Prayed and gave these things to God. It was too much for my heart. I know that some bikes are expensive, but it's weird that bike was found, in my opinion, but I guess he was worried about that. I'm sick of people bullying people, and like my husband said, leave the kids alone. Yeah, yeah. And women and children and elderly people have to be protected better. No fingerprints. Weird. I guess it was wiped off before getting left. Yes, exactly. Trust the officer, he noted things in gloves. Right. And I mean, I would think most officers would have gloves on them in their pockets, just like as a lifeguard, you have to have latex gloves on your person at all times. It's the law. And, every once in a while you don't have one. And maybe that's because you're out of them and you haven't gotten your order in yet, or just because you've used them and you haven't replaced them. So maybe that was a situation he was in. So, yeah, sometimes I think it would be nice just to not even worry about the lighting, but I like to mess with the lighting. I like to control everything. Oh no, your screen is cracked, Casey the cat. That's harsh. Very harsh. Um, have a good day, all. Time to get our daughter. And yeah, and I need to wrap up. Since my cover's blown, I might as well just wrap it up and call it a day and scamper off and never to be seen again, right? No, I'm just kidding, of course. I always knew that that could happen, obviously. And like I said, if that's the worst thing that ever happens with my YouTube channel, I will thank my lucky stars. I'm sure much more mayhem could happen, could and will. So let's see, what else shall we say before we call it a day? It's just about 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm just saying sometimes they get called in and they don't have all the gear, and it's like they get their ASAP. Oh, perfect. Harsh one. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he might not have even been on duty, He might have just been like, "Oh, yeah, I'm over in that area. Let me help out with this call." When in an area like that, at a town, Mayfield, of 200 people, maybe Salida is where the law enforcement is? I hadn't even thought about that. Maybe that's why they say they're from Salida, even though they're on the other side of Poncho Springs. I'll have to look that up um, because I know the fire department that Barry volunteered with, they went on a search looking for her early on, and he got out there and was participating in the search, and he then was told that he wasn't allowed, that they didn't want him. People, I think, were getting very suspicious of his odd behavior. Do you guys remember that when he like threw himself on the ground? I think that was on day one of the search. He like literally threw himself on the ground, and there's pictures. Like, I'll find one and put it up on a community poster as a thumbnail. But he's laying on the ground. Like, it's almost like there was something there that he didn't want them to see, and then he's acting like he's upset or tired, or it's the most bizarre thing in the world. Like, people were talking about it back then, and it wasn't until I saw the picture of it that I really understood that he actually did that. I thought it was just like he had done it, but he actually did it. Anyway, Kylie Rodney, I listened to the interview of the guilty guy in Lauren Giddings' case. Sounds a lot like Sammy to me and Barry Morphew. I think there's a lot of similarities with Barry Morphew and Sammy Smith. They're both extremely cocky. They both think that they can control the narrative. They're both very attractive people superficially. I mean, they're disgusting people if you ask me, but if they were nice, have a very they have nice features, but when they're so snaky like that, to me, that ruins it. They're not attractive at all. But they think they're attractive, and they use that attractiveness as part of their manipulation of others. So yeah. And I did want to talk some about Kylie Rodney. And I even wanted to talk a little bit about the Idaho 4, but I'm just feeling like I should wrap up. Yeah, because we're already at 50 minutes. So I'm going to put those on hold for tomorrow's video once I have my lighting under control again. Thanks for rolling with me with my little mishap. And, gravity. Gravity is my enemy. So, yeah, gravity just pulled the hangers down, which is ridiculous. Like, come on. Like they stay up there all the freaking time. Like, what is the problem? Anyway, um, I'll fix it. I'll get it under control. And is it okay? Is okay. We can do the next time. Happy Monday, everyone. Have a lovely day. So yeah, peace out, you guys. Have a great afternoon. Hope you can get some exercise and fresh air, sunshine. Let me drink a little water to say goodbye. I get cottonmouth so easily. I'll take my allergy medication now that we're wrapping up. Anyway, make sure you stay hydrated, good nutrition, get your rest, be kind to yourself, kind to others, be forgiving of yourself, forgiving of others. I guess I need to forgive gravity, huh? I always like to joke I should have been an astronaut because, when they drop something, it's right there. They don't have to worry about it. What drives me nuts is when something drops and it bounces and rolls and you can't find it to save your life. And then when you finally do find it, you're like, how in the world did it get all the way over there? Like that's just crazy. That is just crazy. All right, you guys, peace out. Sending you light, sending you love. Let's see. I was out when you were live the other day, but I'm going back and listening and great work on the videos. I wish my health let me do more, but I pray all the time about everything. Oh, I'm so sorry that you're having health issues, harsh one. I did not realize that. But yeah, that's going to be hard to be making videos when you have health issues, huh? So, and just family issues, lighting issues. Technical difficulties. It's sort of like the cards are stacked against you for making your content and you just have to fight for it, huh? I mean, it's like everything else in the world. Yep. All right, you guys, peace out. Sending you the light and the love and see you tomorrow. There end stream. Thanks again for being here.